All right, so you all know I'm a big fan of Pixar Animation Studios. I dedicate most of my content on John and Theory to Pixar, and the reason is because, for professional reasons, I spend a lot of time thinking about these movies and looking ahead to what's on the horizon. And I decided that, in light of some recent Pixar coverage I've done, I've yet to actually sit down and really analyze the Pixar slate coming up. I've been pretty bad about it. I know some people in the live chat have had to like fact check me on some like dates and names and things like that. And it really is because I've been so fixated on previous Pixar projects that I haven't actually sat down and really poured through what's coming up. So I started doing that in preparation for today. Apologies, I wasn't able to do anything. I wasn't able to do a stream yesterday. I'm just a little bit too busy. But looking toward this episode, which I've been really preparing myself for, I've been like, I really need to just do a here's everything new coming out of Pixar, just Pixar, because I did do something about like the new Disney things from a Disney Investor Day, and I did some coverage for that, but I didn't do it on John and Theory, so we get to do that now, and we get to keep it limited to just what's coming out of Pixar, just what we're going to see from the Pixar Animation Studio folks, not Disney at large, no Star Wars, no Marvel, any of that. So this should be a fun time. And I have to say, as I was kind of preparing for this, now that I have like a full picture, or at least as full as we're going to get, of the future of Pixar, and I'm sure there's like some things I'm going to be missing too. In fact, I'm not really even touching on like Spark Shorts or anything, just to get that out of the way. But after looking at the slate, I have to say the future of Pixar looks very fascinating. And I kind of go into it not sure yet how I feel about the upcoming slate of Pixar films. I don't know if I'm optimistic or if I'm kind of just whelmed. I don't I don't feel overwhelmed by it. I don't feel like anything that's coming up seems bad or uninteresting, but I don't know how I feel. I kind of want to go through it with all of you. And so, hello to everybody in the live chat. Let's have some fun looking at these projects. I think we're going to have a good time here. And, we don't have to wait long for the next Pixar thing. We did just have Soul, which came out on Christmas Day. And we're already getting another Pixar offering. And here it is. This is Pixar Popcorn, which is actually going to be hitting Disney Plus on January 22nd. So just, what's today? The 13th? 9 days from now, just a little over a week, we're going to be getting this, and it's a short series. So you can kind of see from the image there, this is going to really be following a bunch of characters we already know. It's going to be in like very small, bite-sized segments. They're shorts, right? And they're made by a variety of animators from across Pixar Animation Studios. You can definitely see like these are supposed to be pretty fun and not a big deal. The Pixar Popcorn thing, it really is sort of like a fun thing that the animators got to put together using the tools that they already have, right? And so we can kind of like breeze through these. There's a To Fitness and Beyond. That's a Buzz Lightyear thing. There's something called Chores Day, The Incredibles Way, which has Jack Jack there. I know you can also see Cookie Num Num. There is a Coco thing, which I'm pretty excited about because we really haven't seen anything new about Coco since 2017. But the Day of the Life of the Dead is what that is called. We have Dancing with the Cars, which, sure, not to be confused, by the way, with something we'll be talking about later, which is a Cars series is coming to Disney Plus, but that is way further down the line than this. And then, let's see, Dory Finding, that's really what it's called. So another Finding Nemo thing. Fluffy Stuff with Ducky and Bunny, which kind of looks like a Looney Tunes sort of thing. And then Soul of the City, which I have a feeling is going to be like, the whole Soul thing, but with special attention and music and all that. I think this is probably going to be in the same vein of like Forky Asks a Question, some of these things that we've already gotten with Pixar that they've already sort of put together. This sort of thing really is for Pixar to allow its animators a little extra room to work on stuff in between projects. It's a great tool for them to, of course, find talent and elevate people. So, yeah, I will be checking out Pixar Popcorn. I'm sure I'll do a video or two on some of these things coming out. We can talk about it. One other thing that I'm not going to mention is Inside Pixar, which is a Disney Plus thing that is out right now, actually. You can watch, I think, like 8 episodes or something like that. I've seen most of them. But that's kind of like a documentary thing that's like within Pixar, how they make their stuff. You can check that out on Disney Plus right now. But that's already out. Okay, so then that is Pixar Popcorn, January 22nd. What is after that? So after that, we have this. Monsters at Work. We've known about this for a few years. I think we first heard about it like 2017. But this is going to be the first like dedicated Pixar show that is going to be like really Pixar, right? Like there was the Buzz Lightyear animated cartoon from like the early 2000s, but this seems to be like, this is a totally different thing. It's not really like, it is a spinoff, I guess, but it's more of a sequel. It's created by Pete Docter, who was of course the original director of Monsters Inc. And it's going to have several high-profile directors. 2 of them are names you might recognize. There's Rob Gibbs, who did the Cars Toon shorts. He's also the father of Mary Gibbs. Mary, of course, being the name of Boo in Monsters Inc., who I think voices the character. And then also Rudy Bloss. So Disney superfans know Rudy Bloss. He's worked on Lion Guard. And so this Monsters at Work thing really is a sequel to Monsters Inc. And we're supposed to be getting this in the spring. We actually I don't think we have a specific date. Maybe, I don't know if it's March or April. I really don't know. I haven't seen any like firm language on this. In fact, this was supposed to come out in 2020, but it got delayed. And it's actually kind of fitting considering, 2021 is actually the 20th anniversary of Monsters Inc. But yeah, this is going to be the events like 6 months, I think it is, after the events of Monsters Inc. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but this will be hitting Disney Plus, by the way. And it's more of a long form series. Billy Crystal, John Goodman are going to be doing the voices, which is great. They're coming back as Mike and Sully, who I think are going to be glorified cameos. The main characters you're seeing in this image, those are the characters we're really going to be following. And it's kind of about the Monsters Inc. power plant now that it's like harvesting laughter instead of scares. And this guy, Tyler Tuxman, if I'm getting his name right, he's like the main character. He's like a talented young mechanic guy who apparently is going to get into some mischief. But I don't think we know much beyond all that. So yeah, this is going to be, in terms of like new Pixar content, like a Pixar story, this is like the next thing we're going to get if you don't count Pixar Popcorn, which, shorts, it's a very different thing. This is going to have characters. It's going to have character arcs, that kind of thing. So then Monsters at Work, that'll be spring 2021, assuming it is. I honestly, like, people have not been talking about it that much, so sometimes I wonder if this got canceled or something. But no, apparently it's supposed to be coming out, unless I am missing some information on it being delayed again, which, if that is the case, I am not aware. But then, okay, after Monsters at Work, we are going to be getting the next Pixar film. And it is the next original Pixar film, the 3rd original Pixar film in a row since Toy Story 4. And that is this film right here, Luca. And you can kind of see there, these characters are eating what look like zucchini noodles or like pasta noodles or what have you. Luca is going to be hitting theaters June 18th, 2021. And I do say theaters. I have a feeling even if COVID is still a thing, that this will still be released internationally. I don't know if they're going to be doing the Soul thing again, where it's just Disney Plus. I would be very surprised. But yeah, this is the next original Pixar film. It's directed by Enrico Casarosa, who you might remember, he did La Luna, and he's worked on a bunch of Pixar things. But yeah, this is his first feature film that he's doing for Pixar. It's produced by Andrea Warren as well, another Pixar vet. And so I have the synopsis right here, actually. Set in a beautiful seaside town on the Italian Riviera, the original animated feature is a coming-of-age story about one young boy experiencing an unforgettable summer filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. Luca shares these adventures with his newfound best friend, but all the fun is threatened by a deeply held secret. He is a sea monster from another world, just below the water surface. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Kind of is like the premise of Wolfwalkers meets Call Me By Your Name. I have a feeling I'm not going to be the only person making that comparison. But yeah, sure. This looks like another fun, like, oh, my friend is secretly kind of like this cool mystical thing. And there's actually a teaser for this you can watch right now. It's the animation looks very different. It does not look like typical Pixar, which is has me more interested than not. I want to look forward to this. I want this to be really good. I have to say, nothing I've seen about it has really gripped me. I just think that, like, I do think the production design looks striking, I guess. Like, I'm ready for an Italian Riviera brought to life by Pixar. But I gotta say, yeah, that teaser, I don't know, there was like almost a DreamWorks quality to it that I picked up on. I hope I'm just totally wrong, totally off on that. But okay, so Luca will be summer, June of 2021. What comes after that? I have to say, there's a lot of 2021 stuff coming from Pixar because we actually have one more thing. This is Doug Days. That's right. Doug from Up is returning, and so is Carl Fredricksen. So this shorts thing, it's a short. I'll put that out there. But it's no, sorry, it's not a short. It's a TV series. I don't know why I was saying it was a short. But no, yeah, it's created by Bob Peterson. Bob Peterson was the original creator of, or the original director on The Good Dinosaur. Before that, switched over to Peter Sohn, the voice of Russell, by the way, who hasn't appeared in any marketing for Doug Days. But this is supposed to be a series following the adventures of Doug. Honestly, this looks like kind of something that they're gearing toward little kids, right? Like everything I've seen, like in the images, it really just sort of looks like a kids show that happens to have Doug in it, and then like Ed Asner is going to pop in and be Russell sometimes, Carl Fredricksen sometimes. This does not look like a very this doesn't look like a prestige Pixar series. It really doesn't. Like, I don't think it's going to be in the same league as like Monsters at Work and some of the other series that we're seeing. It just kind of looks like a goofy little spin-off show. You know, maybe it's going to be like closer to like Lilo and Stitch, the series, or even that though was really like episodic. This is episodic, but kind of in it looks pretty like geared toward like kids. Like it does not look like it's supposed to be a long ranging story or anything. We know that this is coming out in fall 2021 on Disney Plus, and that's about it. I don't have any other info on Doug Days except that, you know, it's Doug, voiced by Bob Peterson. What do you want? I'm excited. Okay, that's everything we're getting from Pixar in 2021 that we know of. Pixar Popcorn, Doug Days, and a movie. We're getting Luca. We're getting a full-on show, Monsters at Work. There's going to be a steady stream of Pixar content, and that's, of course, not including the Spark shorts. But then we get into 2022, and the first thing that we know of we're getting is this, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. Turning Red. This thing is so red, it's making like my face turn red from like the screen. But yeah, Turning Red is probably the Pixar project I'm most excited about. This to me screams like different direction for Pixar in a way that feels Pixar. It first of all, it's coming from a director who I think is very untested but has a ton of potential, and just this premise is just a ton of fun. And I love that image. I love the design. Everything I've seen so far for this thing looks cool. So this is March 11th, 2022. That means it's going to be, I think, the second Pixar film to come out in March. The first one was Onward, just last year. This is directed by Domi Shi, as I mentioned. Domi Shi was the director of Bao from Incredibles 2. And Turning Red looks pretty fun. It's produced by Lindsay Collins, and the premise is very interesting. I do have like a written out premise here. I'll read it. A young girl's devotion to a boy band who uncontrollably poofs into a giant red panda. In Turning Red, Mei Lee is a confident, dorky 13-year-old torn between staying her mother's dutiful daughter and the chaos of adolescence. And as if changes to her interests, relationships, and body weren't enough, whenever she gets too excited, which for a teenager is practically always, she poofs into a giant red panda. Turning Red is directed by Academy Award winner Domi Shi, and yeah, we already mentioned that. So this is, like I mentioned, going to be a 2022 movie, and unlike Luca, this to me, I don't know, I really am like jibing with like the look, the feel. I love the design of that red panda, And I love how easy like the story is to get. It's like, yes, teenagers are excitable and we're going to be following kind of a dorky teenager with a huge problem. It's not that different from anything we've seen before in animated films. Like, it's not like Soul, which explores like a totally unique story. But, the fact that it looks like it's going to be like an Asian character, possibly Asian American, seems Asian American or Asian Canadian, something to that effect. It does look like it's going to probably have some cultural influence that is fascinating, some tie-ins to like how puberty and adolescence can like make your life just feel totally just chaotic and weird. And yeah, I'm into that. I like this idea a lot, and I'm not surprised at all that Domishi is going to be doing her own Pixar film, because Bao was such a success for a lot of people. Okay, so then that is 2022 or March 2022, but then almost immediately after, we're going to be getting another Pixar film, and this will be the first non-original Pixar film since Toy Story 4, and that is Lightyear. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this one. So Lightyear is the origin story of Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story, so like the fictional character that the fictional toy is based on. And one thing to mention here is that Lightyear is going to be coming out right after Turning Red. This isn't an unprecedented plan that Pixar is doing, because if you recall, they were originally going to release Soul in the month of June after Onward had come out in March. And that's not that weird for Disney, because Disney has released things, plenty of times where they come out with an animated film, like let's say Zootopia came out in March of 2016, and then Finding Dory came out June, July, I think it was, in 2016 that summer. So totally different time slots. I think they're just expecting that Lightyear is going to be a huge summer hit, and I'm not surprised that they have a lot of faith in this one for that kind of audience, because they're billing it as a sci-fi action adventure. So if it's going to be the origin story of Buzz Lightyear, then we are getting like a full-on sci-fi Pixar movie. We've gotten sci-fi like with WALL-E, but to me, WALL-E was more grounded than your typical space story, right? It was very apocalyptic. It was kind of space operatic in a lot of ways, whereas Lightyear looks like it's going to be something more like Star Trek, Star Wars. It's a different corner of like galaxy sci-fi, which I think that's the thing that makes me more excited about this than I would otherwise be for a different like Pixar spin-off. In fact, I was thinking like a Lightyear spin-off, sure, this I'm in. Chris Evans is doing the voice, sounds fun, but it also kind of makes me hope that if this is really successful, they do the same thing with Woody, because just imagine a Pixar full-on Western with like, you wouldn't have Tom Hanks doing the voice of Woody, but it would be like Woody's Roundup, like the gritty version, maybe something like Logan, X-Men's Logan, but with Woody, that probably wouldn't work, but I would like to see it, even if it was terrible. But yeah, so it says here, I have like this little synopsis thing. The hero who inspired the toy. That's how they're billing this. The film reveals how a young test pilot became the space ranger that we all know him to be today. I know so many people who are excited about this. Like, they just see so much potential in like a Lightyear action movie, because we love the Buzz Lightyear character. He's such a fun character. He's such a cool toy. So, the idea of like exploring, like, what if they made a movie of like the toy or something would be fascinating. I know some people are kind of like saying that, that Buzz Lightyear is supposed to be a real character in the Pixar universe, but that doesn't make sense considering what we know about the character. I don't know. That is a video for another day. This is directed by Angus MacLane, who is somebody, he's been with Pixar for a long time. I know a lot of people don't tend to recognize his name. He's not one of the more Easter eggy names you see, like Darla, for example. But yeah, Angus MacLane's been there. I think he's been with Pixar since A Bug's Life. He's an animator, storyboard artist. He worked on WALL-E, and then he did, I think one of the short films he directed was Burn-E for WALL-E, and then I think he also did Small Fry. Yeah, he's great. I think he's done Toy Story stuff. I want to say Toy Story of Terror was one of his other things, which that does make sense, because Toy Story of Terror, I think, is widely considered one of the better post Toy Story 3 shorts, and I have a feeling that that's why they tapped him for Lightyear, because he did such a good job with that. I'm going to check out the live chat real fast, because we have more stuff to get to, but I see some people are chiming in. I was surprised when they announced about Lightyear because I thought Pixar said that they were going to be done with sequels, prequels, and spin-offs for a while after Toy Story 4. Yeah, so and I'll pin that. Yeah, so they are. And Pete Docter has kind of mentioned there's this Hollywood Reporter article where he talked about this and said that, like, he's excited about how there is a lot of original stuff they have coming out, and they do. They have two more coming out. We'll have four original Pixar movies in a row since Toy Story 4, but Pete Docter is kind of looking at, we kind of need to add this other stuff to the mix, because if we don't, we are going to run out of money. And that's kind of the sad truth. And yeah, they didn't say that it was going to be, if you really look at it, between 2019 and 2022, when this is going to be coming out, that is, what is math? That's like 3.5 years, right? Or like is that 3 years? Yeah, three straight years of just original stuff, which is way different than what Pixar had been doing in the previous decade. Before, it was like, gosh, like Monsters University, and then Incredibles 2, or sorry, Finding Dory, then Incredibles 2, then Toy Story 4, and those were all coming out like really close to each other. This is a very different beast. I think we're getting like a lot of original stuff and very few like spin-off stuff. And then also, I'm very excited for Luca and Turning Red. Should be interesting. Luca seems to be a blend between Call Me by Your Name and The Little Mermaid. Yeah, I mean, I go with Call Me by Your Name and Wolfwalkers, but there's all kinds of comparisons you can make, honestly. I have a question here. Let's see. With these new movies coming out, is Boo still the center of the Pixar theory? Does everything change? Everything always changes. We will find out soon. Hello, Juanis. To answer your question shortly, I do not know. Okay, so after Lightyear, which is June 17th, 2022, we will be getting another Pixar series. And so this will be the next Pixar series since Doug Days, I think was the last one we talked about. This is fall 2022, and this is Cars. I think they're going to be calling this World of Cars. That's the rumor I've been hearing. We really don't. I honestly don't know for sure. But this is the only image I could find that hints at what this is supposed to be. It's a Cars series. It's coming out next fall. It is, a new series following Lightning McQueen and Mater on a road trip across the country, featuring new characters, old friends, and imaginative destinations. Yeah, this seems like just kind of like a fun adventure with some like laid back, casual. We're going to have the Radiator Springs gang. They're going to get into mischief. It's going to be like Ben 10, but like without aliens. I mean, who knows? It could have aliens in it. But yeah, I think that's the general idea. I think that they're kind of going for what people like about the Cars movies, which is like new cars showing up that you can have to get the toys for. They're going to show like different things in America, but like Carsified. And I think it's going to be really fun for Cars fans. I think there's a lot of Pixar fans who don't care about Cars, which is very fair. I'm definitely someone who would I care about Cars a little bit. Like I go back and forth. I don't hate Cars 2. It's fine. I'll watch it. It has its moments, and you just kind of have to accept that it's a Pixar thing for just a totally different Pixar audience. It really is. And this series, who knows? Maybe it will be a lot of fun. But I think like Doug Days, it does feel geared toward a much younger audience. I think Monsters at Work is going to be maybe splitting the difference between like an older Pixar audience and a younger Pixar audience, where like both can kind of get into it. And then I think Doug Days and this Cars thing, they're kind of leaning toward, these are like kids under 8, like kids who are going to be wanting to get the toys, the Hot Wheels versions of Cars and all that. But then after that, that's everything for 2022. I'll do a quick refresher. So 2022, next year, we'll be getting Turning Red, Lightyear, and the Cars series. Maybe it's World of Cars. I don't know. And all that's, there's going to be more stuff, probably like shorts and Spark shorts, but that's the main stuff. We'll probably get more like Pixar Popcorn episodes. And then I don't know if we'll get more seasons of like Monsters at Work. Who knows? But let's move into 2023. And this is, to me, definitely the most intriguing Pixar show that they have coming up. It is very different from their usual thing. This is called Win or Lose. And this is going to be their first animated series that's long form. That's original. I got to throw that in there because, of course, Monsters at Work is already kind of long form, right? And the Buzz Lightyear show. But yeah, Win or Lose. This is going to be on Disney Plus February 2023. And it's supposed to be following like a bunch of different characters. I have the premise here. Follows a middle school softball team in the week leading up to their championship game. and each episode is told from the perspective of a different character. So think of it like Pixar's Skins. I don't know if anybody here has ever watched Skins, the British show. I know there was an American adaptation, but who watched that? The idea is like it's not an anthology necessarily; it's an ongoing story. The difference is that like with each episode, you are able to follow like a different viewpoint. So think like when you're reading a book and you have different point of view characters and you go back and forth. This could be kind of like that. We might go back to another character, like once or twice. Who knows? Yeah, but plenty of shows do the structure. I think it's really interesting that Pixar is doing this structure because there's a lot of like cinematic stuff you can do with that type of storytelling, which makes me think that this is not going to be like those other animated Pixar shows. It's not going to be like Doug Days or this Cars thing. I think that it really is going to be like reaching an older Disney Plus audience, like millennials like me, I think. And I like the idea. I don't know if I love the concept as much because like baseball is not exactly my favorite setting, but I hope they do something really interesting with it. You can kind of see here, it's like it looks very like dreamy, and there's something very weird about this design. Like if you're looking at it, like the coach has like all of these kids on his shoulder, and there's like one kid that's kind of floating, and I don't think that's gonna be like a literal thing, obviously, but it's definitely like I don't know. It's definitely reaching for some kind of feeling, like some kind of mood that is very grandiose, and that to me feels Pixar. So that to me is like, wow, this could actually be very different for Pixar, but different in a way that is true to the spirit of their creativity. I don't know much else about it except so Michael Yates and Carrie Hobson are writing and directing this. That's everything we really know at this current moment. I mean, it's a whiles down the road. It's about 2 years from now, a little over 2 years. So I'm sure we'll be talking more about this one in the future. Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, the Cars thing. I think Corbin Bleu is supposed to be doing a voice for this, if I'm not mistaken. Corbin Bleu, who'd have thought? All right, and then before we start getting into like the brass tacks and all that, and we actually start talking about big picture Pixar and what all this stuff means, we need to talk about this here, these people here. So this is Afton Corbin and Rosanna Sullivan. So this is per a report from Hollywood Reporter. Found out about this through the Pixar Post, folks. And we actually know that these two women are making Pixar films that we don't know the names of yet. They're currently developing, and I should say, they're feature films that are going to be coming from Pixar. So this is really out in the future at this point. We don't know anything about these films. We just know that these two women are directing. I think the official press thing said developing, but that usually means directed. And what's fascinating about this to me is that these are the first Pixar films that were greenlit by Pete Docter officially. Because as you recall, as we've talked about, Pete Docter was not the chief creative officer until after Luca, Turning Red, and Lightyear were already greenlit by John Lasseter. But since Pete Docter took over, he's the one who greenlit the two films coming from these directors. So what we know about them right now. So Afton Corbin, she's been with Pixar since 2016. She worked on Toy Story 4. And so some people have been speculating that maybe she's doing another Toy Story movie. I think that is highly unlikely. She also was a story artist on Soul, so that's her most recent thing. And that's led me to wonder if Pete Docter has maybe put her behind the reins of like the next Pete Docter-esque movie. We talked about the other day that Pete Docter will not be directing any Pixar films for the foreseeable future. And he's, I don't think he's the kind of person who has like, successors. I think to him, like, he's just in the business of like elevating new directors just across the board. So I don't want to reduce this director to just being like another Pete Docter. I think whatever she's working on is probably very specific to her. I know that so TJ and Julie from Pixar Post, they actually looked at her personal website and read through some of their comics, and according to them, the comics are really great, funny, heartfelt, very Pixar. So definitely some stuff to look forward to there once we hear more about what she's got cooking. And then we also have, you can see there, Rosanna Sullivan, or Rosanna maybe. So Rosanna has been at Pixar longer than Afton. She's been at Pixar since 2011. So she's a story artist, writer. She's been an executive producer, and she's directed. So she's done like the full gamut of Pixar filmmaking. She wrote and directed Kit Bull. I don't know if any of you saw that one. That was a short film, an animated short film for Spark Shorts that came out. And I think it got nominated for an Academy Award, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was nominated, and it's a huge thing on YouTube. Last time I was looking at it on YouTube, it had like, I think, almost 50 million views. But yeah, you can actually see that Spark Short on Disney Plus right now. And I think that's all we really know about Rosanna Sullivan. I really don't know like what else she's done. So it's kind of, I think she just worked on like a lot of different film projects. So that's what the future of Pixar looks like. So now let's get into just like the basics here. Does the future of Pixar look bright? And, you know, kind of looking through all of this stuff, I definitely found more to like than dislike. There was a lot of stuff we talked about, you know, kind of scrolling through this, you know, some of this stuff like Pixar Popcorn and, you know, Doug Days and this Cars thing. I don't know. To me, they feel take it or leave it. Like they don't really contribute or detract from what Pixar is up to and their more creative efforts. I think some of their stuff, like maybe with the exception of Luca, because I'm not sold on it yet, but between like Turning Red, Lightyear, and this win or lose thing, this does feel to me like we could be gearing up for another like really good run for Pixar between Onward and then getting into Soul and then moving on. I think we are getting really good stuff. At least I think so. Soul is definitely a high point for Pixar, you know, considering their recent efforts. And I think that this stuff is, you know, I'm even seeing a comment here. I'll raise it up here. This is from Juanes. I think the new Lightyear movie will perfectly fit with the idea that there's life in distant planets, just like we saw in Onward. So, like, I don't know. It's just we can still connect the movies and have all of that fun. And yeah, it's weird because if you had told me like a Lightyear movie like a couple of years ago, I would have really felt like Pixar was reaching, really trying to stretch the Toy Story thing in a way that doesn't feel great. But I don't know, just the way they're going about it is kind of steering me away from that sort of cynicism, to be totally honest. And so I'm happy with where that at least is going. I'll take a look at some of the other chat here as we keep talking, but let's see. I take out the Cars series on Disney Plus and instead put an anthology series focusing on the superheroes Syndrome killed from the first Incredibles film. That's a really cool idea. I really like that idea. I mean, anything involving like the supers, but in the golden age of like the supers would be really fun because you have like the alternate 50s setting that we didn't see that much of. We kind of jump really quickly into like the 60s era of the Incredibles where the supers have to be kind of quiet and hidden. There are some like Incredibles comics that show what this world is kind of like, but yeah, I like that idea. It didn't, even if it wasn't an anthology, if it was just something of like, let's follow like a group of like supers, you know, maybe they have like their own Justice League or something, and it's like a comedy sort of thing, and it's before all the depressing stuff where Syndrome wipes them out, but instead could be like just like a fun adventure for them. Think like Rebels from like Star Wars or something like that. That'd be really cool. I like that idea. I will the next time I'm at a Pixar board meeting, which will probably be never, I'll raise that and I'll credit you, Lauren. And then, you had another comment. The Win or Lose series might have a similar vibe to something like Hey Arnold. Loved that show as a kid. That is a best case scenario right there. And I don't know if like Win or Lose is going to really have that feel, but I guess you can kind of see it between like the character design and the sort of like, there were a lot of episodes of Hey Arnold where they were very like looking off into the distance, the sun setting on the city and all of that. You're full of great ideas, Lauren. You should work for Pixar. So back to the original question. Okay. Does Pixar's future look bright? I think it looks like a mixed bag, but a mixed bag in probably the best way. I think that the more exciting thing happening at Pixar is that we're getting fewer films from the typical Pixar directors. We're not getting more from Lee Unkrich, Andrew Sten, Brad Bird anytime soon, or Pete Docter. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I think that is for the best. I think for Pixar long term to have the level of creative success they had in their second decade, which was between the years of like 2000 and 2010, for them to get back to that, I think they do got to roll the dice on some different directors. They did do that, of course, and with films like Good Dinosaur. They had a different director for that. They had Brenda Chapman for Brave, and it's not like they stopped doing that. But I do think that they were really relying on Unkrich and Doctor and Lasseter to really yeah, and Bird and Stanton to really define the last decade between Inside Out and Finding Dory and Incredibles 2. And I'm kind of excited about this next decade kind of moving away from that. I really like the idea of well, what can Angus MacLane do with his own Pixar movie? And we just got Dan Scanlon, just got Pete Docter, okay. But hey, what can Domi Shi do with a full-on movie? And that to me is what's bright about Pixar, is that they're still, I think under Doctor's leadership, they're still making decisions that put creativity first, not ego. I think ego would be a very easy thing at this point for the animators at Pixar who've been there the longest to really hang their hat on. But I see some of them, like Angus MacLane, being directly rewarded for long tenure at Pixar. And I see variety in these films. I mean, Luca, Turning Red, and Lightyear look completely different, not just from each other, but from any other Pixar film we've gotten before. If you recall, some of the complaints for Soul was this feels like Inside Out. Coco, this feels like Book of Life, which was not Pixar, obviously. Even Onward, people were kind of this looks like DreamWorks. But, does Luca really... I mean, I know people are saying Luca looks like Call Me By Your Name, but that's more of a joke. It's more of a meme. If you actually look at the teaser, it does look pretty unique in its own right. And I think that Lightyear, of course, is a different animal, and Turning Red, most of all, really feels different. I've seen some people maybe say that the design and the feel kind of reminds them of Big Hero 6, but only lightly, not in a way that feels reductive. And then other stuff Win or Lose just totally feel different, totally feel like their own thing. I'll admit, I'm feeling optimistic. Maybe I'm a simp. Maybe I need to be a little bit more harsh. But at the moment, I'm just not feeling that way. I'm feeling as we move into this next year where we're going to get a ton of Pixar content, we can start making more of the harsh judgments once we actually see the stuff. And I don't know how it's going to go. I think Monsters at Work looks promising, but I am nervous that they haven't told us much about it and that we haven't really seen any marketing for it, and it's supposed to come out in a couple of months. I'm worried that the Pixar teams are being stretched thin, that these animators are having to do so much at this point between the shows and the shorts and the movies. Is it too much? Is it going to hurt the quality of the films in the long run? I don't know, and I hope that is not the case. But we will have to see. This is going to be the first true test for Pete Docter, a guy who has pulled off a lot of miracles at Pixar. So we can have some faith in what he can bring about. I think we have more reason to give him the benefit of the doubt than we would otherwise. All right. That's everything I have to say about the next decade of Pixar. I hope this was a useful and fun walkthrough through some of this stuff. I do have some other Pixar content I want to get to either this week or next week. But as always, if there is a topic you want me to address specifically, please join the live chats and leave it there. Or, of course, go to the comments and I will take note of it. It helps me guide the content for these streams so that I can actually talk about all of the things that you want me to talk about beyond the things that interest me. So I'm all about that. And also, of course, I apologize for any connection issues or audio issues. Still working out some of these kinks. It is very difficult. Unfortunately, I cannot at this point use Ethernet, which is a struggle. I understand. So thank you for putting up with some of these technical limitations as I'm still kind of defining and growing out this platform. Your support, though, means everything. The amount of subscribers that have come on and the engagement in the live chat has been tremendous, and it has kept me coming back. It's been keeping me doing this beyond the point where I probably would get tired of it. But I'm not tired of it at all. I'm having a blast doing this sort of thing. And yeah, I will see you all on the next one. See you, everybody.